Okay. Pure oil and holy bread. The Lord said to Moses, "Command the people of Israel to bring your pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to keep the lamps burning continually. This is the lampstand that stands in the tabernacle in front of the inner curtain that shields the Ark of Covenant. Aaron must keep the lamp burning in the Lord's presence all night. This is a permanent law for you, and it must be observed from generation to generation. Aaron and the priest must tend the lamp on the pure gold lampstand continually in the Lord's presence. You must bake 12 flat loaves of bread from choice flour, using 4 quarts of flour for each loaf. Place the bread before the Lord on the pure gold table, and arrange the loaves in 2 stacks, with 6 loaves in each stack. Put some pure frankincense near each stack to serve as a representative offering, a special gift presented to the Lord. Every Sabbath day this bread must be laid out before the Lord as a gift from the Israelites. It is an ongoing expression of eternal covenant. The loaves of bread will belong to Aaron and his descendants, who must eat them in a sacred place, for they are the most holy. It is permanent right of the priests to claim this portion of the special gift presented to the Lord." An example of just punishment. One day a man who had an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father came out of his tent and got into a fight with one of the Israelite men. During the fight, this son of an Israelite woman blasphemed the name of the Lord with a curse. So the man was brought to Moses for judgment. His mother was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. They kept the man in custody until the Lord's will in the matter should become clear to them. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Take the blasphemer outside the camp and tell all those who heard the curse to lay their hands on his head. Then let the entire community stone him to death. Say to the people of Israel, those who curse their God will be punished for their sin. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord must be stoned to death by the whole community of Israel. Any native-born Israelite or foreigner among you who blasphemes the name of the Lord will be put to death. Anyone who takes another person's life will be put to death. Anyone who kills another person's animal must pay for it in full. A live animal for the animal that was killed. Anyone who injures another person must be dealt with according to the injury inflicted, a fracture for a fracture, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a leg for a leg. Whatever anyone does to injure another person must be paid back in kind. Whoever kills an animal must pay for it in full, but whoever kills another person must be put to death. The same standard applies both to native-born Israelites and to the foreigners living among you. I am the Lord your God. This is the standard that applies. After Moses gave all the instructions to the Israelites, they took blasphemers outside of the camp and stoned. They took the blasphemer outside and stoned him. The Israelites did just as the Lord had commanded. Just as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Sabbath year. While Moses was on Mount Sinai, the Lord said to him, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you have entered the land I am giving you, the land itself must observe a Sabbath rest day before the Lord every 7th year. For 6 years you must plant your fields and prune your vineyards and harvest your crops. But during the 7th year, the land must have a Sabbath year of complete rest. It is the Lord's Sabbath. Do not plant your fields or prune your vines during that year, and don't store away the crops that grow on their own, or gather the grapes from your unpruned vines. The land must have a year of complete rest, but then you may eat whatever the land produces on its own during its Sabbath. This applies to you, your male and female servants, your hired workers, and your temporary residents who live with you. Your livestock and the wild animals in your land will also be allowed to eat when the land produces." The year of Jubilee. In addition, you must count off 7 Sabbath years 7 sets of 7 years, adding up to the 49 years in all. Then on the Day of Atonement, in the 15th year, blow the ram's horns loud and long throughout the land. Set this year apart as holy, a time to proclaim freedom throughout the land for all who live there. It will be a jubilee year for you, when each of you may return to the land that belonged to your ancestors and return to your own clan. This 15th year will be jubilee for you. During that year, you must not plant your fields or store You may return to your land that belonged to your ancestors and return to your own clan. The 15th year will be jubilee for you. During this year, you must not plant your fields or store away any of the crops that grow on their own, and don't gather the grapes from your unripened vines. It will be a jubilee year for you, and you must keep it holy, but you may eat whatever the land produces on its own. In the year of jubilee, each of you may return to the land that belonged to your ancestors. When you make an agreement with your neighbor to buy or sell the property, you must not take advantage of each other. When you buy land from your neighbor, the price you pay must be based on the number of the years since the last jubilee. The seller must set the price by taking into account the number of years remaining into the next year of jubilee. The more years until the next jubilee, the higher the price. The fewer years, the lower the price. After all, the person selling the land is actually selling you a certain number of the harvests. Show your fear of God by not taking advantage of each other. I am the Lord your God. If you want to live securely in the land, follow my decrees and obey my regulations. Then the land will yield large crops, and you will eat your fill and live securely in it. But you might ask, what will we eat during this 7th harvest, since we are not allowed to plant on or harvest crops that year? Be assured that I will send my blessings for you in the 6th year, so that the land will produce a crop large enough for 3 years. When you plant your fields for the 8th year, you will be eating the large crop from the 6th year. In fact, you will still be eating from that large crop when your crop is harvested in the 9th year. Redemption of the property. The land must never be sold on a permanent basis, for the land belongs to me. You are foreigners and tenant farmers working for me. With every purchase of land, you must grant the seller the right to buy it back. If one of your fellow Israelites falls into poverty and is forced to sell some of the family land, then a close relative should buy it back for him. If there is no close relative to buy the land, but the person who sold it gets enough money to buy it back, he then has the right to redeem it from the one who bought it. The price of the land will be discounted according to the number of years until the next year of the Jubilee. In this way, the original owner can return it to the land. But if the original owner cannot afford to buy back the land, it will remain with the new owner until the next year of Jubilee. In the Jubilee year, the land must be returned to the original owner so they can return it to the family land. Anyone who sells a house inside a walled town has a right to buy it back for the full year after its sale. During this year, the seller retains the right to buy it back, but if it's not brought back within a year, the sale of the house within the walled towns cannot be reversed. It will become the permanent property of the buyer. It will not be returned to the original owner in the year of Jubilee, but the house in the village, a settlement without fortified walls, will be treated like property in the countryside. Such a house may be brought back at any time and must be returned to the original owner in the year of Jubilee. The Levites have always had a right to buy back a house they had never sold within the towns allotted to them, and any property that is sold by the Levitical houses within the Levitical town must be returned in the year of Jubilee. After all, the houses in the town are reserved for the Levites, are the property they own in all Israel. The open pasture land around the Levitical towns may never be sold. It is their permanent possession. Redemption of the poor enslaved. If one of your fellow Israelites falls into poverty and cannot support himself, support him as as you would a foreigner or a temporary resident, and allow him to live with you. Do not charge interest or make a profit at his expense. Instead, show your fear of God by letting him live with you as your relative. Remember, do not change interest on your money you lend him or make a profit on the food you sell him. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. If one of your fellow Israelites falls into poverty and is forced to sell himself to you, do not treat him like a slave. Treat him instead as a hired worker or as a temporary resident who lives with you, and he will serve you only until the year of Jubilee. At that time, he and his children will no longer be obligated to you, and they will return to their clans and go back to the land originally allotted to their ancestors. The people of Israel are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt, so they must never be sold as slaves. Show your fear of God by treating them harshly. However, you may purchase male and female slaves from among the nations around you. You may also purchase the children of temporary residents who live among you, including those who have been born in your land. You may treat them as your property, passing them on to your children as permanent inheritance. You may treat them as slaves, but you must never treat your fellow Israelites this way. Suppose a foreigner or temporary resident becomes rich while living among you. If any of your fellow Israelites falls into poverty and are forced to sell themselves to such a foreigner or to a member of his family, they still retain the right to be brought back, even after they have been purchased. They may be bought back by a brother, an uncle, or a cousin. In fact, anyone from the extended family may buy them back. They may also redeem themselves if they have prospered. They will negotiate the price of their freedom with the person who bought them. The price will be based on the number of years from the time they were sold until the next year of Jubilee, whatever it would cost to hire a worker for that period of time. If many years still remain until the Jubilee, they will repay the proper proportion of what they received when they sold themselves. If only a few years remain until the year of Jubilee, they will repay a small amount for their redemption. The foreigner must treat them as a worker hired on a yearly basis. You may not allow a foreigner to treat any of your fellow Israelites harshly. If any of the Israelites have not been brought back by the time the year of the Jubilee arrives, they and their children must be set free from that time. For the people of Israel belong to me. They are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Blessings for obedience. Do not make idols or set up carved images or sacred pillars or sculptured stones in your land so that you may worship them. I am the Lord your God. You must keep my Sabbath day of rest and show reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you follow my decrees and carefully obey my commands, I will send you the seasonal rains. The land will then yield its crops, and the trees of the field will produce their fruits. Your threshing seasons will overlap with the grape harvest, and your grape harvest will overlap with the season of planting grains. You will eat your fill and live securely in your own land. I will give you peace in your land, and you will be able to sleep with no cause for fear. I will rid the lands of wild animals and keep your enemies out of your land. In fact, you will chase down your enemies and slaughter them with your swords. 5 of you will chase 100, and hundreds of you will chase 10,000. All of your enemies will fall behind your sword. I will look favorably upon you, making you fertile and multiplying your people, and I will fulfill my covenant with you. You will have such a surplus of crops that you will need to clear the old grain to make room for the new harvest. I will live among you, and I will not despise you. I will walk among you, and I will be your God, and you will be my people. I will be your God, and I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt so that you would no longer be their slave. I broke the yoke of slavery from your neck so you can walk with your heads held high. Punishments for disobedience. However, if you do not listen to me or obey all these commands, and if you have broken my covenant by rejecting my decrees, treating my regulations with contempt, and refusing to obey my commands, I will punish you. I will bring sudden terrors upon you, wasting diseases and burning fevers that will cause your eyes to fail and your life to ebb away. You will plant your crops in vain because your enemies will eat them. I will turn against you, and you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule you, and you will run even when no one is chasing you. And if, in spite of all this, you still disobey me, I will punish you 7 times over for your sins. I will break your proud spirit by making the skies as unyielding as iron and the earth as hard as bronze. All your work will be nothing for your land and will yield no crops, and your trees will bear no fruit. If even then you remain hostile towards me and refuse to obey me, I will inflict disaster on you 7 times over your sins. Oh, I already said. I will send wild animals that rob you from your children and destroy your livestock. Your numbers will dwindle and your roads will be deserted. And if you fail to learn the lessons and continue your hostility towards me, then I myself will be hostile towards you. I will personally strike you with calamity 7 times over for your sins. I will send armies against you to carry out the curse of the covenant you have broken. When you run to your towns for safety, I will send plagues to destroy you there, and I will destroy your food supply so that 10 women will need only one oven to bake the bread for their families. They will ration your food by weight, and though you have food to eat, you will not be satisfied. If in spite of all this you still refuse to listen and still remain hostile towards me, then I will punish you. Then I will give full vent to my hostility. I will punish you 7 times over for your sins. Then you will eat the flesh of your own sons and daughters. I will destroy your pagan shrines and knock down your places of worship. I will leave your lifeless corpses piled on top of your lifeless idols. I will despise you. I will make your cities desolate and destroy your places of pagan worship. I will take no pleasing aroma. I will take no pleasure if you in your offerings that should be pleasing aromas to me. Yet I myself will devastate your land, and your enemies who come to occupy it will be appalled at what they see. I will scatter you among the nations and bring out my sword against you. Your land will become desolate, and your cities will lie in ruins. Then at last the land will enjoy its neglected Sabbath year, as it lies desolate while you are in the exile in the land of your enemies. Then the land will finally rest and enjoy the Sabbath. If it missed. As long as the land lies in ruins, it will enjoy the rest you never allowed it to take every 7th year while you lived for it. And for those of you who survive, I will demoralize you in the land of your enemies. You will live in such fear that the sound of a leaf driven by the wood will send you fleeing. You will run as though fleeing from a sword, and you will fall even when no one is pursuing you. Though no one is chasing you, you will stumble over each other as though fleeing from a sword. You will have no power to stand up against your enemies. You will die among the foreign nations and be devoured in the land of your enemies. Those of you who survive will waste away in your enemies' lands because of their sins and sins of their ancestors. But at last my people will confess their sins and the sins of their ancestors for betraying me and being hostile towards me. When I have turned their hostility back on me and have brought them to the land of the enemies, then and last their stubborn hearts will be humbled, and they will pay for their sins. Then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and my covenant with Isaac, and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. For the land must be abandoned to enjoy its years of Sabbath rest as it lies deserted. At last the people will pay for their sins, for they have continually rejected my regulations and have despised my decrees. But despite all this, I will not utterly reject or despise them while they are in exile in the land of their enemies. I will not cancel my covenant with them by wiping them out, for I am the Lord their God. For their sakes, I will remember my ancient covenant with their ancestors, whom I brought out to the land of Egypt in the sign of all the nations, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. These are the decrees, regulations, and instructions that the Lord gave through Moses on Mount Sinai as evidence of the relationship between himself and the Israelites. Redemption of gifts offered to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If anyone makes a special vow dedicated to someone to the Lord by paying the value of the person, here is the scale that should be used. A man between the ages of 20 and 60 is valued at 50 shekels of silver as measured by the sanctuary shekel. A woman of that age is valued at 30 shekels of silver. A boy between the ages of 5 and 20 is valued at 20 shekels of silver. A girl is valued at 10 shekels of silver. A boy between the age of 1 month and 5 years is valued at 5 shekels, and a girl of that age is valued at 3 shekels of silver. A man older than 60 is valued at 15 shekels of silver. A woman at the age valued at 10 shekels of silver. If you desire to make such a vow, but cannot afford to pay the required amount, take the person to the priest. He will determine the amount for you to pay based on what you can afford. If your vow involves giving an animal that is acceptable as an offering to the Lord, any gift to the Lord will be considered holy. You may not exchange or substitute it for another animal, neither a good animal for a bad one, nor a bad animal for a good one. But if you do exchange one animal for the other, then both the original animal and its substitute will be considered holy. If your vow involves an unclean animal, one that is not acceptable as an offering to the Lord, then you must bring the animal to the priest. He will assess its value, and its assessment will be final, whether high or low. If you want to buy back the animal, you must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. If someone dedicates a house to the Lord, the priest will come to assess its value. The priest's assessment will be final, whether the house is high or low. If the person who dedicated the house wants to buy it back, he must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. Then the house will again be his. If someone dedicates to the Lord a piece of his family property, its value will be assessed according to the amount of seed required to plant it. 50 shekels of silver for the planted field with 5 bushels of barley seed. If the field is dedicated to the Lord in the year of Jubilee, then the entire assessment will apply. But if the field is dedicated after the year of Jubilee, the priest will assess the land's value in proportion to the number of years left until the next year of Jubilee. Its assessed value is reduced each year. If the person who dedicated the field wanted to buy it back, he must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. Then the field will again be legally his. And if he does not want to buy it back and it is sold to someone else, the field can no longer be bought back. When the field is released in the year of Jubilee, it will be holy, a field especially set apart for the Lord. It will become the property of the priests. If someone dedicates to the Lord a field that he has purchased, but which is not a part of his family property, the priest will assess its value based on the number of years left until the next year of Jubilee. On that day, he must give the assessed value of the land as a sacred donation to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee, the field must be returned to the person for whom he had purchased it and the one who has inherited it as a family property. You may not dedicate a firstborn animal to the Lord, for the firstborn of your cattle, sheep, and goat already belong to him. However, you may buy back the firstborn of a ceremonially unclean animal by paying the priest assessment, its worth plus 20%. If you do not buy it back, the priest will sell it at its assessed value. However, anything specially set apart for the Lord, whether a person or animal or family property, must never be bought or sold back. Anything devoted in this way has been set apart as holy, and it belongs to the Lord. No person specially set apart for the destruction may be bought back. Such a person must be put to death. 1/10 of the produce of the land, whether grain from the field or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord and must be set apart to him as holy. If you want to buy back the Lord's 10th of the grain or fruit, you may pay its value plus 20%. Count off every 10th animal from your herds and flocks and set them apart for the Lord as holy. You may not pick and choose between good and bad animals, and you may not substitute one for the other. But if you do exchange one animal for the other, then both the original animal and its substitute will be considered holy and cannot be bought back. These are the commands that the Lord gave gave through Moses on Mount Sinai for the Israelites. I'll start Numbers tomorrow.